Okay, we're up. Okay. Hey, what is up, Buddy Boyo Nation? I'm back. Today, I would like to take a quiz that I found a few weeks ago. It's by Clearer Thinking. It's about learning my philosophical beliefs. This philosophy quiz is going to help me figure out what my philosophical views are and how my views are different or similar to other people, other philosophers, and other users, and help me understand the connections between philosophy and psychology. Okay, so philosophers consider arguments using reason and logic, whereas psychologists collect and analyze data. Recently, a philosopher, Derek Anderson, and a psychologist, David B. Yadin, decided to combine these two approaches. We conducted a study on professors of philosophy to see whether their innate psychological traits, such as their personality and well being, predict their philosophical beliefs. Also, apparently, that they found a few psychological traits are linked towards their philosophical beliefs. So, they're gonna do the same thing to me since I'm gonna take this quiz and I can learn my philosophical views, my answers compared to others, as well as whether or not they are linked to my psychological traits. Okay, now first things first, I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to philosophy, but I'm gonna try it out. Okay, let's get started. Alright, as a part of this study, please be open-minded while taking this philosophy quiz for the best results. As you take this quiz, you will receive additional explanations of each question and how your results compare to the professors of philosophy. You can receive a copy of your results and see the results of our study about the psychological traits that predict philosophical views of the end. Okay. Hmm. And into account that many of these debated and analyzed, so this is not definitive. Okay. A broad introduction to these topics rather than a full detailed interpretations. Okay. Okay, this is pretty cool. Alright, okay, let's start with question 1, abstract objects. Philosophers debate whether abstract objects exist, things like numbers. They are not physical objects, but some argue they are also more than just a thought or idea in people's minds. They are supposed to be a third kind of thing that is neither physical nor mental. Which of these beliefs about abstract objects is closest to your perspective? I'd say abstract objects do exist because I'm thinking like other animals, like crows are able to count like whatever that they can hold in their beak, either sticks or berries. So yeah. Ah, okay. Your response means you might be a Platonist. 40.8% of philosophers and 60.3% of users agree with you. The bar shows the percent that agree with you. Platonist nominalist. Okay. I think I know what a nominalist is. And user responsive Platonist. Okay. Explanation of the view. We believe there are abstract ideas that exist independently of human thought. Like Platonists think numbers and shapes are not creations of the mind. They are discovered and not invented. Plato took this idea further, arguing that there must be abstract forms for all things. The form of the ideal horse, the form of justice, the form of good. You may be inclined to agree. Yeah, I do. I probably do. Question 2, aesthetic beauty. Philosophy has much to say about what determines the nature of beauty. Some philosophers believe that all opinions on beauty and artistic value are equally correct, whereas other philosophers believe that there are objective truths about which things are beautiful or artistically valuable and which things are not. For those who believe in objective truths about beauty, there is much debate about who or what determines these truths. Which of these beliefs about beauty is closest to your perspective? Okay, beauty on what context? You know, I'm reminded of engineer TF2 Jel Conacher, right? He says something along the lines of what is beauty. Well, it comes into the conundrums of philosophy, of my philosophy, right? Like that. But he's not really about that kind of stuff. He's into practicality. Well, I'd say that I think beauty has some level of practicality, right? So I'm gonna choose one. There are objective facts about it. Yeah, I'm kind of there, but okay. Your response means you might be an aesthetic intuitive. 40.5% philosopher, 28.8% users of you. Red bar shows the percent that agree with you. Okay, what's that? Philosopher responses. User responses. Like aesthetic. Oh, really? That's kind of crazy. This doesn't mean I'm a bully. I just think that beauty has some practicality to it, based on the history and whatever, and it could be different from one place to another. What is considered beautiful for this person is different for another person, but I don't think it's too far off. I'd say it's not too far off. It's not really subjectivity. It could be that we are attracted to certain traits more than other traits, right? And there's a big rabbit hole that I want to dig in, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a mere bully. That's not exactly what I have in mind, but it was taking quite a long time. So, explanation. You're inclined to believe that some things are, yep, beautiful, and others are typically ugly. Okay, when it comes to the work of art, I could say it's also the results. Like the results would be non-trivial. For example, the work of Dante, the Divine Comedy, is obviously better for many people in comparison to Paw Patrol. So maybe people have different ways of seeing the goodness of a work of art, but the results, like what I mentioned beforehand, many would be inclined to agree. I would also agree, right? Even, well, at least one person is really truly wrong. Okay. Further, you probably think that some movies are objectively better than others. Yes, some films are objectively funny, while others are not, and so on. Yep. You might even think there would be beauty in the world even if there were no people to appreciate it. Yeah, it's possible. Okay, next question. Question 3. The external world. Philosophers debate whether the world is all in the mind, our collective minds, or perhaps in God's mind, or if it is a physical reality that we know about through science and observation. Some philosophers maintain it is impossible to know anything about reality since we can never experience reality directly. All we have is our sense experience. I've already explained this beforehand. Let me know. I don't know. Maybe I will link my Rumble, which is a platform similar to YouTube, but I no longer talk about the black hole stuff. That's normally not. I'm bored making black hole videos or much bigger whatever. It's not really something that I'm interested in. So, question three. I've already talked about this. Yada yada yada. Let's go with number two. Right. Both of the one and three are valid, but I'm gonna go with two and I'm gonna explain later. Your response means you might be an external world skeptic. 7.1% of philosophers and 20% of users agree with you. The red bar shows the percent that agree with you. Wow. I would have picked the other option instead of holy shit. User responses is also pretty much the same. External world realist. Explanation of the view. You do not think you can know anything about the external world. No, not really, as it exists outside of the confines of your own mind. It's not that you would doubt the existence of the world, that would be to claim knowledge that nothing out there exists. Instead, you think you simply cannot know if anything is out there. If there is a world beyond your mind, you cannot know what it's really like or what's in it. Well, it's kind of there. For me, it's like that one meme about America, the USA. What the fuck is a kilometer, right? If we were to put it, if I think if I were to put it in science and observation, whenever I learn about mathematics, or whenever I learn about geometry, right, we use meters. 1 meter, kilometer, decimeter, centimeter. But Americans, they use yards, foot, right, miles. And it's not that I don't think an external world doesn't exist, but the results are different from, like I said before, I think the results are different from one and the other. So I would have picked a different option than you did. Again, there were only like 3 questions. Next, free will. Free will is the ability to control our actions and be morally responsible for them. Determinism is the idea that the universe unfolds according to unchanging laws of nature, which could be the laws of physics or perhaps the will of God, which have determined the course of events in the universe from beginning to end. If you believe that the events of the universe are determined from their beginning to their end, then you might find it logical to think that humans don't have free will over their actions. How can we truly choose anything if everything leading up to that moment and everything after it is predetermined? That said, holding people responsible for the choices that they make is a fundamental part of human interaction. How does the idea of determinism affect your belief in free will? Um, I am kind of in the area of something along the lines of topographical determinism. I don't know if that's a term I make myself, but if I could bring up a metaphor like cancer cells and they act upon themselves instead of working together with other cells for survival, biological survival. So I'd say it's possible, even though I'm kind of in the area of a different form of determinism, not just something like genetic, genealogical determinism. Although one could say my determinism also is connected to that, which is fair. But again, I am around a different form of determinism, but I get to say three. Your response means you might be a compatibilist. Okay, this is much more popular. 55.7% of philosophers and 65.5% of users agree with you. The red bar shows the percent that agree with you. Okay, hard determinist, libertarian, other compatibilist, and everybody else is fucking compatibilist. Okay? Explanation of the view: you believe that you have free will, if you think that free will is compatible with living in a deterministic universe. The freedom to choose is not a metaphysical power that breaks the laws of physics. Rather, freedom consists simply in the ability to do what you choose to do. Okay, this is I'm familiar with kind of some of these things. This sentence. Your choices might be predetermined, but they are yours nonetheless. If you had a different set of beliefs and desires, then you would have made different choices and done different things. Free will means that you make the choices you do and can be held responsible for those choices because you are you. Okay, it's pretty similar. Next question. God. Okay, God is usually regarded as an all-powerful deity or multiple deities, worshipped as the creator or ruler of the universe, or as rulers of particular forces of nature or ancestral principles. However, many individuals question or deny the existence of God, seeing it as incompatible with various aspects of the world as we understand it, or seeing it as something that is impossible to determine. If you're agnostic about the existence of God, then try to choose the answer that's closest to your intuition. What do you think is more likely? Okay, there's not much I can do from here, so gonna choose this. Okay, your response means you might be an atheist. 69.7% of philosophers are following 73.3% 3.3% agree with me. So it's a lot here. I wish I had another option. Maybe I shouldn't be choosing the other option all the time. Theist, atheist, a lot of the philosophy. Obviously. Everybody else is also a fucking redditor. Explanation: you might believe that there is no supreme being, no powerful, all-knowing, maximally good, and benevolent creator of the universe. You might believe that the idea of God's existence is absurd, or you might have what take to be a conclusive argument for the denial of God's existence. Honestly, I don't think the existence of God matters. Honestly, like I think worship, tradition, and mythology is appropriate. It's fine, but in the grand scheme of things, if I were to take that, it depends on what people are compatible with. Everybody has their own fucking law. Everybody has their own fucking rules. So, yeah, the difference between an atheist and an agnostic and an agnostic is confidence of the claim to knowledge of God's non-existence. So you are only an atheist if you are confident that God does not exist. There was never an agnostic option anyway, so let's go next question. Knowledge claims. So is this like epistemology? It's one word, but it potentially has multiple meanings. Knowledge. In epistemology alone, it's common to distinguish among three kinds of knowledge. Whether you know how to do something, know a person, or know a fact, could this knowledge mean the same in every situation? What is the correct way to use the word knows? When you claim that a person knows something, what are you saying? Okay, I'm gonna use my own experiences. Um, I could know one thing and it could be wrong, but then I found out that it is wrong, and then I decided to criticize it, and then I know something else. So I'd say one. Ah, okay. Alright, contextualist. Your response, okay. 41.5% of philosophers and 75.3% of users agreed. Stuart Barr, ah, okay. Invariantist, interesting. Arthur, you think the word knowledge does not have a consistent meaning, rather than just context to context. There are all kinds of different, closely related states of mind we can refer to with the word knowledge. The particular mental state that we refer to on a given occasion depends on factors like what the stakes are, what kind of contextual things are happening, and whether we are worried that we might be dreaming, or to illustrate with a famous example from Descartes, if we are being deceived by an omnipotent demon. I don't think so. Um, I think this is merely from my own experience, but I think the second question could also be a contextualist. Right? It's just that there's too many things out there for me to know, so my ideas could change from time to time. Not really as but I think I've got everything I've can, but stuff like cooking, maybe something less high IQ, I guess. Next question. Laws of nature. Okay, Newton's laws of motion and those laws. The ideal gas laws are a few examples of laws of nature. Some philosophers regard laws of nature as fundamental principles that govern the nature of reality. They explain why things happen in the way that they do. Other philosophers regard laws of nature as mere interpretations of observable phenomena that allows us to make accurate predictions about the world. These philosophers are that skeptical that fundamental principles which explain the regularities of the universe actually exist. Which is more accurate for me? I'm gonna go with two. Okay, your response means you might be anti-Humean. Okay, David Hume, 51% of philosophers at least 7%. Okay, oh, that's interesting. Apparently, I am a philosopher faggot, and a lot of these fucking users are Humean. Well, some of them are anti-Humean as well. No, it's not. Okay. Hume famously argued that there are no necessary connections between events, causations, and imaginary, and thus there are no real laws of nature outside of our imagination. The anti-Humean rejects this doctrine and believes that there are laws of nature that dictate how events proceed. Events in nature happen as they do because laws of nature exist that necessitate how these patterns occur. Yes, but I don't think it's dry. I think laws of nature can be flexible, but they take a very long time for them to shift. And the concept of a possibility of a law of nature, I'd say, does exist, except it can be different from time to time. It can change from time to time, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I'd say that. Next question. Metaethics. Metaethics is the branch of philosophy that investigates what morality is. Okay, what's right and what's wrong? Which is more correct about morality? I'd say number two, right? It's an interesting field to do, as we all have views on what's right and what's wrong. Which is more correct about morality? Okay, I'd say two. Your response means you might be a moral anti-realist. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, 28.3% of philosophers and 64.7% of users agree. Okay, so apparently I'm in the user side. Yeah, you doubt that morality really exists. I don't think objective morality exists. Maybe morality, whatever we call it as morality, does exist, but it's different from person to person, or even to group, right? Maybe you believe this because you think the world is purely physical and don't see how the physical world can include moral facts. I think the physical world does have some moral facts, but again, I'm not. It's not objective. I don't think it's completely objective. Or you are an empiricist who thinks all knowledge comes from science and observation, and you don't see how science and observation could reveal objective moral truths. Yeah, maybe I am. You may think that statements of morality are meaningless or that they are mere expressions of positive or negative emotions towards actions that people take. Well, I don't think they are mere expressions. I think they are like a form of necessity that isn't strictly on positive or negative emotions. I think it's also based on what is important for survival, let's say. So, yeah, that's good. That's a good example. I'd say that's a good example of what I'm trying to get across. Or you may think that moral statements purport to assert aspects of reality that simply aren't there. You might think still that moral beliefs serve an important purpose, like organizing our society and keeping us from hurting each other. Yeah, I think I would agree. Next question. The mind. Okay, we're almost at question 10. Philosophers have often wondered if the state and processes of the mind are identical to states and processes of the brain. While we may use the words mind and brain interchangeably at times, let's look into whether we should. What is the mind? The mind is a totally physical thing, e.g., the brain. The mind is something non physical, e.g., something additional to the brain. Okay. Um, I don't think it's too far off. One. Okay. Your response means you might be a physicalist. 54.4% of philosophers and 45.1% of users agree with you. The red bar shows the percent that agree with you, philosophy responses, physicalist, user responses. Okay. You believe the mind is a physical thing. Wait, what? You probably think everything is physical. Um, well, there was, I think it was the first question. Numbers. I do think numbers exist, but it's also like the relationship of our physicality with the numbers. So, symbols and numbers are useful for our physical brains, right? So, the mind must be okay. Some physicalists use postulate that the mind is identical with the brain. Other physicalists use postulate that the mind is functionally related to the brain, like how computer software is functionally realized by computer hardware. Yeah. According to this view, the mind and the brain are not identical, but the mind is physical. We definitely do not believe so. Yeah, I would say so. Moral judgment. Okay, so this is the 10th question. Philosophers debate the function of moral statements in our language. When we make a claim about what's right and what's wrong, are we making statements that have the potential to be universal, e.g., that can be true or false, or do such claims merely express our feelings? Okay, which is closest to my field. Statements about what actions are right or wrong express our beliefs about the moral facts. Statements about what actions are right or wrong express our emotions, personal approval or disapproval, or wishes for others to behave in certain ways, as opposed to personal moral thoughts. I think these two are interconnected. I'm gonna go with one because we are stating our moral action. Right? Any moral claims, I would say any moral claim is true if it is appropriate, if it is useful. Follow up question, which is more correct? The truth of a moral claim is based on whether individuals believe it to be true, or is it based on whether society believes it to be true? I'd obviously not number three. The truth of a moral claim is independent of whether people. Okay, I'm gonna go with four. Cognitivist. Your response means you might be a cognitivist. 62.8% of philosophers and 36.9% of users agree with me. Hey, I'm a philosopher here. Look at me, I'm a fucking. Okay, the red bar shows. Okay, let's see. Cognitivist, non cognitivist ever. Well, apparently not many people are in the agreement here, but obviously we do not have another option. I'm curious what the other options are, honestly. A cognitivist thinks moral beliefs are about reality and can either be true or false. Moral realists are cognitivists who think some moral beliefs are objectively true. But being a cognitivist doesn't entail having any particular belief about what is right or wrong, even if you think all moral beliefs are false. You are still a cognitivist because you think moral beliefs that can be objectively false. The cognitivist believes moral judgments are meaningful statements about a situation in the world. I think morality does require some level of violence, if I could say it here, because I just want to say, I don't know how to put it into words. This forum probably doesn't think that violence is a part of morality. I don't know, but I'm just gonna say I think violence though is a necessity about cop or like cognitivist or moral judgment. I think violence. Okay, I hope I don't get banned by YouTube, but violence is a valid uh, presupposition or action which can become a moral belief, right? I think moral realism sort of doesn't really appropriate that. Um, not at the very least, not in the way that I think moral realism is. Okay, next. Newcomb's product. You are on a futuristic game show, represented with two boxes, A and B. You can either take box A or you can take both box A and B. The host guarantees that box B has $10 in it. The situation with box A is tricky. The host has scanned your brain before the show began and used the scan to decide what to put in box A. It is known that this method of brain scanning always accurately predicts your future action. Okay, if the scan indicated that you would choose both boxes, then the host put nothing inside box A. Oh fuck! If the scan indicated that you will only choose box A, then box A has $1 million inside it. You've seen the show, so you know how it is. What would you do? Um, hold on. Cancel. Oh, take box. I take the risk and take box A. Your response means you might be a one box. 19.3% of philosophers and 76.7% of users agree with me. There are partials to percent that agree with me, but I don't think it matters because everybody else is a fucking fence sitter apparently. But user response is one box. Okay. I don't really fucking care about the money, honestly. I know it sounds stupid, but I just my conception is that, you know, I know how it works, so why not I try it again, you know? So there's some level of a determinism there. On the other hand, the money is under. Mhm. Hmm. In the scenario where the host predicted that you will only choose box A, but then you choose both boxes, you have $1 million. And in the scenario where the host has predicted you choose boxes A and B, and you do so, you have $10. By taking only one box in these two scenarios, you either get 1 million or not. Just less money than in both scenarios will be boxes. Okay. Okay. Alright. Again, I don't really fucking care about the money. Let's go. Next question. Normative ethics. Normative ethics explore how one ought to act. Unlike meta-ethics or moral judgment, normative ethics look into what makes an action right based on asking what everybody should do in that circumstance. What makes an action right? I'd say causing good effects for people, regardless of consequences, and wise, virtuous, good people could also have pleasure doing so. Wow, okay. Consequentialist. 24.1% of philosophers and 61.9% of users agree with you. Okay. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious explanation. Yeah, this is pretty obvious, but I'd say it can be more subtle. All right, it can be more subtle. Right actions, good causes, wrong actions, bad outcomes. It depends. All right, question 13, politics. This isn't a question that will cover your political view based on modern political issues and opinions today, thank God, but rather the political philosophy of how you think society should be. Which kind of society is most preferable? Okay, how do I explain this? Okay, I'm gonna break down every single question and why I think all of these could be wrong. A society that de-emphasizes individualism and individual rights, focusing instead on the community as a whole. Um, since individualism and individual rights could be diminished for the community, I think there's a lot of nuances of what is appropriate and what is preferable. So, what community prefers one thing, it's not really objective, alright? Some people may have to be left out, or yada yada yada. A society that puts special emphasis on ensuring that everyone has basic equal rights and opportunities, so any inequality reflects differences in work. I think equality doesn't really exist. I think inequality, the Darwinism stuff, is bound to happen one way or another. I don't want to be that guy, but it's kind of this question. Kind of, if I choose this question, it could be in the lens of communism or Marxism. So no, I don't think it's possible. I also don't think a society in which the government tries to interfere as little as possible is good, because as much as I kind of hate to say it, most people don't really have a self-assessment. Most people aren't really independent of themselves. And what do I mean by that? Well, it's either you are enslaved by an authoritarian government or you are enslaved by your desires and pleasure, right? It's not that you can't have any pleasure, but it's more like a reification. It's more like an addiction. So I'm gonna, if I were to choose the safest option, I would say one, because these two others are ass. These two others have more drastic outcomes, more severe consequences. Communitarian, okay. 16.3% of philosophers. Oh wow, this is very rare. Apparently everybody is a fucking egalitarian. I would choose the other option, but that's not really. Yeah, out of all the options, I'd say the safest option is a communitarian. Okay. Yeah, that's usually the fucking case. Liberalism, with its emphasis on individual rights and goals, at least sometimes gets on your nerves. You criticize the policies that aim to promote individual goals and liberties at the expense of the collective. I think everybody has some level of self interest, but when it comes specifically to liberalism, when it comes to liberalism specifically, I think that in any case, if you're a liberal, I think you are going to be misguided, and I wouldn't say mind controlled, but you're not as free as you think you are. I think the level of self interest does require some people some kind of no man is an island, but I wouldn't say it has to be liberalism. I think there's a lot of misconception there. Next question, science. What is the purpose of science? The philosophy of science looks into the foundations, methods, and implications of science. There's plenty of debate on whether science can reveal the truth about unobservable things. Which statement is more accurate about science? These two are correct, honestly. These two are correct. I think reality, when it comes to reality, I'm thinking of reality as in reality that correlates with us. And I think I've made plenty of videos talking about that. So this is probably one of the hardest questions that I have to pick because these two are valid, honestly. I choose one because based on what I've seen in the past, based on my personal observations, there is some level of ultimate truth of reality. However, my idea of the ultimate truth of reality, and this is also not merely because of my subjective experiences, also the limits of my language, let's say, could be different based on the outcome of how I explain that ultimate truth of reality, but also how you receive it. But I do think it is possible based on what I've seen, based on my own personal um, philosophical ruminations and my own personal independent observations. So I would say one. Okay, scientific realist. Your response means you might be a scientific realist. 70.1% philosophers and 72.5% users. Okay, okay, that's not bad. You think scientific theories approximately tells us how the world really is. You probably believe that most well-supported scientific theories are at least approximately true. Mm, I don't think that electrons are scientific theories the same way I don't think that Darwinian evolution is a scientific theory. But regardless, whatever. Next question. Teletransport. Imagine that scientists have built a machine that will scan your body and brain recording the position and type of every molecule and then disintegrate them, sending a signal across the world to another machine in a distant city. The second machine builds a person body with a brain in it, all wired up properly, and is an exact duplicate of what was scanned. Which statement is more accurate? I think I'm gonna choose with two. Something might be missing. I don't know exactly what it is. Oh, your response means you might think that teletransporters could lead to death. 31.5% of philosophers and 64.1% of users agree with you. The red bar shows the percent that agree with you. Okay, explanation. You will not use a teletransporter unless I want to. You know that these machines actually destroy your body at the departure location, thus killing you. But then make a duplicate of you with new matter at the arrival destination. Yep, I do think the original person in the flesh, if they were duplicated, something may or may not be off. Like, for example, in the Johns, right, Stephen King's novel, if I remember correctly, something along the lines of it's eternity in there, it's eternity in there, and then the kid just punches his eyes out. He's staring at the void for billions of years. Next question. Next question. Oh shit. Okay, truth. Philosophers are interested in discussing what truth is a property of, and what you mean when you say something is true. One of the first questions they explore is what is truth, which is closest to your view. Great. Your response means you might believe in epistemic truth. Nah, it's pretty easy. 10.9% of philosophers and 46.1% of users agree with you. Yeah, I think I kind of know what the explanation is. Epistemic truth. Oh, okay. You think the idea of truth is closely connected with knowledge. You don't think that things that cannot be known can be called true. Some things that aren't known can be considered true, but we know what we know, so those things can be true. You might think that truth is only whatever can be known in limits of inquiry. Uh, Based on my personal experiences, yes, I do think so. One version of this is the idea that if a sentence cannot be verified by empirical evidence, then it is meaningless. Okay. All right. Question 17: Zombies. What do zombies have to do with philosophy to philosophers? They are imaginary creatures used as examples to demonstrate our views on consciousness and its relation to the world. Some people think that it's an incoherent concept to imagine a being that is just like a human in every way. You can model its behavior, but which lacks consciousness. In the sense of having no internal experiences, there is nothing that it is like to be it. Others think that such a philosophical zombie is a complete possibility, whether or not such a being could actually exist. Can you imagine a creature that seems just like a healthy human being in every way, including how it looks, acts, and interacts with people, but has no conscious experience? Yeah, I choose two. Your response means you might believe the idea of zombies is conceivable but impossible. 35% of philosophers and 43.4% of users agree with you. The red bar shows the percent that agree with you. Okay. Conceivable utter. User responses. Explanation of the view. You can imagine a being who is physically just like a human being. It walks and talks and acts just like a human but has no conscious experience. However, I don't believe, yes, your imagination is a reliable guide to what is possible. Even though I can imagine such a zombie, I do not think for this kind of human like but not conscious being to really exist. This might be because you think that having a walking, talking, apparently perceiving human body requires having a conscious mind as well. Yep, it's along those lines. Alright, finish. Alright, see if your psychological traits could have predicted your philosophical beliefs. Please enter my email address so we can email your customized report based on your answers. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna pause this first and I'm gonna see my results. Alright, everybody, I'm back. Alright, so we're gonna continue on with our observation. Let's see, answer these questions and we'll tell you how your psychological traits compare with your philosophical beliefs. Okay, alright, so it's time for me to see the results. Let's begin. Do you enjoy working with numbers and counting? Sometimes. Okay. How numeric interest affects philosophical beliefs. Whether someone considers themselves a math person or a language person, numeric interest plays an interesting part in philosophical beliefs. Do you consider yourself to be interested in numbers? In our study, we found a significant correlation between numeric interest and philosophical views involving mind, normative ethics, truth, free will, external world, and politics. Mine, okay. Numeric interest has a significant correlation with physicalism. Okay. Therefore, interest in numeracy is predictive of somebody being a physicalist or somebody who believes the mind is a physical thing. Some physicalist views postulate that the mind is identical with the brain. Other physicalist views postulate that the mind is functionally related to the brain, like how computer software is functionally realized by computer hardware. Okay, physicalist. Normative ethics view consequentialism was related. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I'd say I'm kind of a consequentialist. There is a positive correlation between numeric interest and correspondence truth. There is a positive correlation between numerous interest and correspondence truths, which is thinking that truth is a relationship between reality and a representation of it. According to your answer, you might believe in epistemic truth. Okay. Okay, interest in numeracy may predict a scientific realism view on the philosophy of science. On the philosophy of science. This is the idea that scientific theories approximately tells us how the world really is. Numeric interest has a negative correlation with anti-scientific realism. According to your answer, you might be a scientific realist. Okay, if you are interested in numeracy, there is a negative correlation with libertarianism. If you are interested in numeracy, there is negative correlation with libertarianism, so I would be a compatibilist. Okay, external world. Numeric interest has a positive correlation with external world realism. Numeric interest has a positive world. Okay, okay. Hmm. I don't know what these numbers are. RP, honestly. I'm not very good at mathematics. I gotta be honest, but when I was answering those questions, I was like, it's sort of like a painting. It's not merely numbers that I had in mind. Next question. Like there's a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long would it take for the patch to cover half of the lake? Okay, 24. Um, what? Hmm, okay. Um, how satisfied with life am I? Satisfied. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with life. I don't really care about this. Uh, yeah, I'm not really religious. How religion or spirituality affects philosophical beliefs. You're religious. Mm, so apparently there's some contradictions here. I am an atheist. Okay, I'm a physicalist. So I'm a compatibilist. So okay, okay, this is pretty on par, right? Mm, okay. Huh? No. Mm, mm, mm. I never use fucking drugs. I was shocked actually. Marijuana or psychedelic substances. Okay. Moral realist. Okay. Next. Okay. So I'm about to get my results. In political matters, where do your views generally fall on the scale from left progressive to right conservative? The left is often associated with progress, equality, reform, rights, corporate regulation, and global cooperation. The right is more often associated with tradition, responsibility, corporate deregulation, order, hierarchy, nationalism, and duty. I gotta be honest, guys. Based on what I see, based on the results, right, right is the more appropriate for me. Because, like I mentioned before, I don't think, you know, I think both of them have some problems, have some cons, but it's the left that has a lot more problems. I think a lot more errors or insufficiencies. I don't know exactly what to say. Those are just buzzwords. So yeah, I'm gonna be. I don't. I'd say moderately right leaning because I don't really know what the right is about specifically. Um, is this context dependent or not? Should I be very okay? Maybe right. Okay, next. How old are? Uh, okay. 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 Yes. Of course, yes. Mm. Yep. So again, I'm gonna open my results. These results are not definitive. Again, the people here who make the quiz also tell me that it doesn't cover everything about philosophy. This is just in general, right? And it's cool. It's a good quiz, although I would I would have liked to explain what I mean when I have this position or when I have this idea or if I'm inclined to agree with this or that or this or that or this. So let's view my results. My meta ethical positions. You are a moral objectivist. You said that there really is a fact about what is right and wrong. Mm, yeah, I do think the concept of morals have an objectivity, but the results are often subjective. So I'd say yes, kind of, yeah. Mm, is the truth of a moral claim independent of whether people believe it to be true? Yeah, okay. Okay, it's very, very snaky here. Okay. All right, so it's about my meta ethical position. Hope I say it right. Uh, next. Oh no, yeah. So Platonist, objectivist, external skeptic, compatibilist, atheist, contextualist. Okay, yeah, it's pretty on par. This is something you can read. Anti-Humean, moral realist, physicalist. Um, I'm kind of yeah. I think question eight is the one that got me the most confused. As in the answer isn't really satisfactory to me. I think I have a different idea, but I don't know if I can explain it appropriately in this video. But yeah, I suppose if I'm a moral realist, then okay, cognitivist. Okay, one boxer, consequentialist. Okay, communitarian, scientific realist, leads to death, epistemic truth. Okay, yeah,